Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And thank you to all the ladies who are going to watch this later. And Bezrat Hashem, we're in. We're good to go. So this is our weekly Bezrat Hashem. I think I would call it more of a Hitbodedut Chavura. I like Chavura better than class, more comfortable. And I really appreciate sharing. That wouldn't have been sharing me throughout I still didn't start the second WhatsApp group, but I actually made it, but I just never shared it yet. But it will happen. Um, I would like to start today with a story. This is a story who I heard from a video cat. I'm just going to ask someone to bring me water. Um, 1 second. I'm just going to ask someone to bring water. Shlomo? Shlomo? Okay. Sorry about that. I can hold it. Okay, so let's start. So, um, I actually had this chus to spend Shabbos in Efrat this week. My husband is going to Uman for I don't know how many years, probably about 17 or 18 for Rosh Hashanah, minus maybe Corona, and then a few times in between. Rosh Hashanah was with the kids when they were under 7. So I asked my husband if he would mind if 1 week I could do an Uman Shabbos. That's what I called it, was my Uman Shabbos. And I went to Efrat, and Baruch Hashem got to spend Shabbos with incredible people, incredible people, and my Rabbi Weinberger. And I have not landed. I haven't had any focus since Shabbos. So we're going to do the best we can today. And whatever Hashem wants us to hear, we're going to hear. When I drove home from Efrat, I was trying to think I was trying to remember the Torah that I learned over Shabbos. And I couldn't remember anything. And I dug in very hard. I always say to women, I run a psychotherapy program, and I tell women who I speak to on the phone, I always tell them it's so easy to learn Torah nowadays. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of incredible classes on YouTube and YU Torah and Torah Anytime and Spotify and books and wherever you live is shurim. It's so easy to learn. What we need to do is we need to bring it to our heart, because I always make a joke about the bubble. We have this heaviness on top of our head and the bubble and another mipachad and 3 mipachats, 4 mipachads. And we have so much here, but we really need to work on bringing it here. And so my tefillah, when I went into Shabbos, this is the koach of tefillah. My tefillah, when I went into Shabbos, to this incredible Shabbos I couldn't even imagine that I was going into, my tefillah was that everything I learned would go here. So I feel like it went here. It didn't pass go. I didn't collect 200. Nothing went here. It all went here. And when I tried to remember what I learned, it's coming out, but it's coming out slowly, slowly. So with time, B'ezrat Hashem, I'll try to share. But it was the first time Rabbi Moshe Weinberger took a group of his kehillah to another kehillah. Like they go on trips. They've gone to Poland. They've gone to Hungary. They've gone to Israel. But they always have their own place in the hotel that they're staying with, the Chavura that they go with. And this is the first time that they actually spend Shabbos with another community, which is Rabbi Shlomo Katz, who this community Shirat David and Efrat, which is a community that actually, as they both said, Rabbi Shlomo Katz and Rabbi Weinberger said that Shirat David was incubated in Eish Kodesh and Woodmere. So I'm going to start. So that Shabbos is incredible. I'll try to share some of the Torah that I learned in time, because I definitely learned a lot about bringing it down to doing and to living the Torah that we live and the Torah that we learn. So I am going to start with a story. Oh wow, Leah, amazing. So I have to get to know you in person. As you open your camera, I don't know who you are. Um, okay, so yeah, beyond incredible. Incredible is like taking this huge experience and putting it into one word. Well, we'll try. B'ezrat Hashem. I'm hoping that I figure if everybody remembers a little bit of what we learned, and all together we'll be able to put together that sefer to get to it. I literally, after I drove home, I had to get something for my husband for one of my neighbors. I just walked to my neighbor's house and I just started crying. we won't be jealous. We'll share it, B'ezrat Hashem, and it's gonna be more and more and more, B'ezrat Hashem. But I just started crying, and I think I've been crying since then. So I want to get back to the story that I promised. This is a story that um actually affected me a lot. When I heard it the first time from Rav Daniel Katz, who teaches elevation. So here's the story. There once was a king. Like all stories start off with a king. Many stories start off with a king. Sometimes they have a prince. One day, B'ezrat Hashem, I'll share the story that I grew up on. My father taught me a story when I was little. He used to tell me a story every night before I went to sleep about a king. Um, there was a king, and this king, um, he really loved his subjects, and he really wanted the best for them, and he cared for them so much. And one day he said, I have all these subjects, millions and millions of people, and I love them, and I care for them so much, and I just want the best for them. And he decided that on Monday morning at 9 o'clock, he invited his whole kingdom to line up outside his palace, and everyone's going to come and they're going to ask me for a gift. And I'm going to give them whatever they want because I can and because I love them. So the whole kingdom was all excited and they were amazed and astonished, and the signs went up and the WhatsApps went out and the messages went out and the Facebook messages and the Instagram and all the what's it called, Luciot, the people who share things on social media. They all shared the king is giving out presents and everybody should line up, and the whole kingdom lined up. And the first person comes and says, I don't have a house. I have a large family. I don't have a house. The king says, great, here, take a house. And the next person says, I don't have a car. My car broke down. And the king says, great, take a new car. And the next person says, I don't have a phone. He says, here, take a phone. And people had serious issues, and people had, all kinds of issues that they came to the king. And this person had this problem, and this person, and lacking and lacking. And they just gave and gave and gave and gave and gave. And everyone was like, wow, what an incredible king. And they all love the king. And people are coming for parnasa and for health. And he was able to help them get the best doctors. And he really just loved them and just wanted to give people in his kingdom whatever he could because he loved them. And there was one person standing to the side, and he was watching it. And he said, what are you going to ask for? You can ask for anything. What's the most important thing in the world? And he's like, it's not a car. It's not a house. It's not money. He thought, what's the most important thing? I want a bond. I want a bond. I want a bond with the king. And this person gets to the front of the line, and the king says to him, what would you like? And this man has the chutzpah to say, I was thinking the most wonderful thing in the world that I would ask for is if I could come. Oh, he said, sorry, what's the most beautiful thing in the world? Relationships. And I was thinking, who's the most wonderful person I know? The king. Maybe once a day, I could come to the king and I could spend a few minutes and I could hang out with you and we could spend some time together. And the king was like, one person chapped what I was looking for. Everyone else, they asked for material items and they got them. But this person, he understood what I want, a relationship. Now, why is this so smart? Number one says the Baal Shem Tov, because he gets a relationship with the king, the smartest, deepest, most awesome person in the world. He gets to hang out with him every day for 10 minutes, and that's amazing. And there's a deeper reason. This deeper reason is not the real reason, but there's a deeper reason. Before you get to the deeper reason, you can imagine his wife when he came home and all the other friends had a new car and a new purse and a new this and a new iPhone and a new whatever, new house, new mansion, new business, and her husband gets a few minutes of the king every day. She was a little bit shlamazali to her husband. But what's the deeper reason? The deeper reason is because when the guy shows up a few minutes late to the king and says, hey, how come you're late? He says, oh, I'm so sorry I'm late. My car broke down. And the king says, okay, get the guy a new car. And then the next day he comes and he's a little bit late. He says, what's going on? It's like, oh, my son is bar mitzvah. I'm trying to figure out how to pay for it, how to cover the cost. And then he says, Mazel tov. Let's pay for the bar mitzvah. And then a couple of days later, he comes late. They hang out every day. And then when he comes late, he's like, oh, my daughter's getting married and I'm trying to figure out what to do. You can have her married here in the hall because when you have a relationship, the king sees you. And when the king sees you, he knows that you're lacking. And even more so, when the king sees you, and this is the deepest of the deep, Rabbi Katz spoke about the first one. He said, when you are come every day for 10 minutes with the king, you build a relationship with him. Then he says that the king sees you and he'll see what you're lacking, so he'll maybe even give you what you're lacking without you even having to ask. And the third thing, which I want to touch into, is you also feel seen. Karov Hashem l'kol korav. Hashem is close to all who call on him in truth, with sincerity, and the ones who want a true relationship. And we have a relationship, everything flows through. We just live in this flow with Hashem. And the mechanism is deeper, but we also feel seen. And I want to go to, I have the book. I promise, Lee Neder, we're going to go into the book today, but I want to go into one more thing about Hitbodedut that I was thinking about at the beginning of the week. This class on Hitbodedut, and I believe very strongly that if we pay attention, as much attention as we can, I think it's amazing that there's about half the class also now, and also the people who watch it after, their name is Shira, which is amazing. I just think that Shira, the singing, the song, the tefillah, the Hitbodedut, the Tehillim, that's just incredible. Thank you for all the Shiras who are watching and are going to watch. I love that. So let me get back to what I was saying, that the more we understand why we do Hitbodedut, the easier it's going to do Hitbodedut. So I thought of something on Sunday, and I'm going to get back to that. B'ezrat Hashem, last Monday, sorry. But before that, I don't know if I spoke about this last week, but I'm going to bring it up again because I think it's very important. We'll get into very practical tools about Hitbodedut, and there's lots of practical tools. And one of the reasons why the Sefer is so incredible is because it's very, very, very practical. But sometimes I can know exactly how to do Hitbodedut. I have the time to do Hitbodedut. I have the setup to do Hitbodedut. I have the field or my special spot or my candle or my incense or my whatever. I have everything. My book, my tefillah, Likutei tefillot I could take, or any other tefillah book that can help me get into the talk. Definitely have a lot of geschäft to talk to Hashem about. But then I come and I just, for some reason, there's something holding me back. And this is where many women call me and they ask me and they say, please help me do Hitbodedut, please help me do Hitbodedut. I can't do it. And I'll tell them, I say, listen, there's 120 shares of Rabbi Weinberger online, and there's Rabbi Yaakov Klein teaches Hitbodedut, and I can tell them books. But to sit down and to speak to Hashem, aside from consistency, which is sometimes difficult to build a consistent habit, which we'll get into with Hashem, but there's also the point of how sometimes it's not comfortable to sit with ourselves. Because sometimes we have all kinds of stuff going on and there's something holding us back from being able to sit with ourselves. And the first step is to just be aware, and maybe there's stuff going on here inside between my mouth and my neshama, where I'm talking, or my mouth and Hashem, where I'm talking to, and there's stuff going on. So if I'm just conscious about the fact that maybe there's something holding me back, like I thought about it a lot, because we'll get later in the book, it talks a lot about what to do when it's hard to do Hitbodedut. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I don't understand how could it be that somebody's learning every day how to do Hitbodedut, every week they're showing up at a shiur to do Hitbodedut, and they're learning the depths of it. And Rabbi Natan's student, Rabbi Natan's son, and there's so many people who have, and he admitted he has a hard time doing Hitbodedut, and we know it's not. If Rabbi Nachman says Hitbodedut oleh hakol, it's the highest of the highest of the high. There's nothing higher than Hitbodedut, which means that it's huge compared to all the other things that Rabbi Nachman did in terms of also, like, holding back and not eating from week to week and fasting and mikvah sheleg and lots of learning. Of course you have to learn. Of course you have to keep the mitzvot. But he's saying, like, in terms of like you're getting that closeness to Hashem, it's only Hitbodedut. Then why wouldn't everybody want to do it? And it's because sometimes it's hard for us to sit with ourselves, and it's okay. And I think that the first step is just being aware of the fact that sometimes it's hard for me to sit with myself, and it's okay. And that's just like a little calling from Hashem, just saying, listen, maybe there's something going on. Let's try to figure out a way for you to help, to figure out what's going, and then just ask your heart, say, heart, what's going on? How are you feeling? How are you feeling today? Is there anything I can do to help you? Is there anything you're lacking? If you need to feel seen, like that's what I was saying before with the story, is that the third part is that this guy was seen every day. You want to be seen. It's like huge when you want to be seen by someone. It's very, very, very exciting. And so when we have that time, when we speak to Hashem every day, we go into that place where we're seen, and we can feel really seen, B'ezrat Hashem. And if not, then it's just like a sign saying, what's going on? How come I'm not feeling seen? So I wanted to bring up another point that I thought about last Monday, which is unbelievable because I was like a little bit blown away by it. I when I was in fourth grade in elementary school, I was Zocha in fourth grade and fifth grade. You know, sometimes you have like these teachers who are real teachers. They're like amazing, amazing, amazing teachers. So most usually we don't get them every year in elementary school and high school, but I was lucky to have a few of them. So in fourth and fifth grade, I had a teacher called Rabbi Emmanuel Klein, and he was unbelievable teacher, inspiring. He saw you. He every single one of his students, I think, felt totally seen by him. And he taught us. I have a lot of things. He was actually um Rav Eliel Lapian's grandson. So we learned a lot of secrets that he came also by his grandfather, what it's like to, the stories his mother told growing up in her father's house. And he taught us about the pasuk at the end of Shemona Esrei. There's a minhag. I forget, I didn't look up, sorry, where it's from. I just trusted him, and I've heard it in many other places. And also at the back of the Art Scroll Center has a list of psuki. Basically, you have one name, two names, three names, four names. Um, the first letter of your first name and the last letter of your first name, you find a pasuk, and Art School has a bunch of them with the most common letter combinations. You find a pasuk with where the first letter of the pasuk is the first letter of your first name, and the last letter of the pasuk is the last letter of your first name. So if you have one name, you have one pasuk. If you have two names, you have two psukim. If you have three names, you have three psukim. Not your last name, like your middle name. My name is Ahavia Chana, so it's Ahavia and Chana. Um, so I had so he gave us psukim when the Rav gave us psukim when I was in fourth grade or fifth grade. He taught us for both those years, and I was very excited, and that was my pasuk. And he taught us then why you say the psukim, because it says in 120 years when we go up to Gan Eden, when we go up, we're not gonna remember necessarily right away who we are, who we were, what our life was. It's like a whole different dimension that we're used to. So we might forget who we were. But if we have a pasuk, that Torah, we'll definitely remember that Torah, who we were. So we'll always remember our name. So we'll remember for sure who we are for that name. So we say that name at the end of Shemona Esrei. So I connected to the psukim. Those are my psukim. And then it actually happened to be that a few years ago, I was listening to a share from Rabbi Weinberger, and he said that it's a good idea to use a sitter that I'll tell you, I have a different hack for sitters in general, but he said it's a good idea to use a sitter that has, like the Sephardi sitters have Hashem's name, like Yud Kei Vav Kei and Shem Adnut and all kinds of different combinations and the sphere written in them, which I don't claim to nearly understand. But he said it's a good idea to find a sitter that will have the names of Hashem and the sphere. It just helps your like concentration and focus. And just by seeing it, there's a certain koach to sing it. I'm probably not saying it the way he said it, but he said it's a good idea. So I got a sitter, the Matok Midrash sitter. It's Nusach Sfarad, not Sephardi, which is my Nusach, and I bought the sitter and I liked it, and I was using it, and just like what I was saying before about the sitter hacks and about Sheila, which is basically what we're here to learn and very, very important. I personally have a bunch of different Sidurim because that way it helps me get be more focused. Like if I have one time I'll use this sitter, one time I'll use this sitter, one time I'll use this translation, and one time I'll use an interlinear translation, and I'll just only Hebrew, or I'll use one with the names. Or there's also an incredible sitter by Koren publishers that Ben Casper put out, which is an amazing sitter because he color coded the tefillah. There's four different colors there, and it's basically a different focus of like Hashem speaking to you, you speaking to Hashem, your own healing. Like every color is different, and it's also helps you with Kabbalah. It also helps you take the tefillah that you're saying. It's I think it's a Shachas Ben Chamar weekday sitter. It helps you take the tefillah to internalize it to a deeper place. So I think like for me, I know some people have their sitter from their bar mitzvah or their sitter that they got when they got married, and that's like their favorite sitter. They always use the same sitter, and they're connected. So for me personally, it helps me to change it up a little bit because that way it helps me with my focus. So I got this Matok Midvash sitter. And so my first pasuk is Ashrei Maskil Eldal B'Yomer Ayim Otei Hashem. That was my first pasuk I always said. And my second pasuk was from Esha Chayil Chagra Be'oz Matneh V'Tam Yitzroteha. And then when I got the Matok Midvash sitter, it had a different pasuk at the end for Chana, for Chet Hey. And you could pick any pasuk as long as it has the first letter and the last letter. So the pasuk in the Matok Midvash sitter was Chanocha Nar Pidarko V'Gam Yaskun Lo Yarsim Mimeno. So I thought, wow, that's my pasuk. I just took it on because that's chinuch, chinuch habanim, chinuch myself, chinuch in general. That's what I think about all the time. Try to think about a lot. So I thought I'm gonna switch my pasuk. So it was like I was 40 something years old and I just switched my pasuk, which is like it's like kind of an identity change when you switch your pasuk when you say it so often. But then Rabbi Weinberger was talking this week in Shir, and in the Yosef Hatzadik Shir on Sunday, and he said it's very important to know who you are. Remember who you are. Now, this is something that I talk about a lot about when you do. Let's say I want to do Hitbodedut, and let's say I get stuck to that place like I was talking about before, where I have a lot of stuff that's just going on, and I can't sit by myself for whatever the reason. I just feel like I can't sit by myself. So um, one of the things that can help you, this is like a little hack. I think that it's good to go deeper and figure out what's going on after, but a good hack is to just remember, just close your eyes for a moment or two and remember who you are. And I'll keep going back to it. I'll keep going back to Elokai Neshama Shnatatavi, that beautiful tune that Yehuda Becher Hashem Yikom Demo left us, where he sings that song where people just see that video in their head of Yehuda Becher in his wife beater undershirt singing Atabra Ata, that we remember who we are. We remember at our core we're pure and holy. We remember who our neshama is, that shining, that zohar, that light. Even if we feel so schmutzy, even if we feel like we've been doing such garbage, like Rabbi Weinberger gave a share yesterday afternoon, and she was talking about the Yetzer Hara, about of like Tikkun Klali, and she said she had Tfilat Zaka, and she was like, I don't know, like women don't have that kind of issue with the Yetzer Hara. So Baruch Hashem, some women do have issues with the Yetzer Hara for all kinds of things and Shmirat Einayim and watching and wasting time. And we have our share of Yetzer Hara in terms of, especially, I said right away, I said, oh my gosh, women have a huge Yetzer Hara. We feel guilty and bad about ourselves. Many of us, myself, sorry, I don't know about you, but myself, 24/7. Like you just feel bad about yourself all the time and guilty. My husband calls it like the Yetzer Hara. But woman is like, when he sees it's getting too far, he's like, would you ever bring cheese into the cholent? You wouldn't. So he's like, your guilt and your shame and you're feeling bad about yourself is literally taking cheese and putting it in the cholent. You wouldn't do it. Don't do it. Stop it. It's a Yetzer Hara b'chvodo batzmo. That's how he tricks you. He's not going to trick you. He's not going to, make you watch some, I don't know, have movie or want to whatever, watch, I don't know, whatever men's Yetzer Hara is. But some women have that Yetzer Hara also. But I'm talking about like for myself, like my husband says, like, that's your Yetzer Hara. Women have have issues with guilt sometimes. I know some women who have issues with guilt, myself included. So back to what I was saying. So when you feel that place and you feel like that disconnect, so just remember for a minute, and that's when Yehuda Becher Hashem Yikom Demo was sending a video to his friend who needed chizuk, and he was giving him chizuk, reminding him about his neshama. So we always want to get back to that place. Remember who we are. Remember who our neshama is. Remember that warmth that we have. So I'm going to get back to where I was before about the pasuk. So after Rabbi Weinberger talked about that, so if you remember who you are and like connecting to you are the pasuk also, then you have less of the more you remember who you are, the less of a chance I think that you'll fall. Because when you remember who you are, you remember you're pure at your core, you're pure and holy, and you're willing to accept the fact that you're good, then when the house is clean right before Pesach and the house is spotless, then you're not going to just leave your socks on the sofa. If the house is already dirty, then you'll leave your socks on the sofa. But if it's already spotless and clean, you're probably less inclined to leave the socks on the sofa because once it's clean, you're going to keep it, or like a dish in the sink. If the kitchen's spotless, you'll wash that cup and put it away. But there's already, like, that's what happens in my house. Like, if the kitchen is spotless, maybe the kids will actually wash the dishes and put them away. But if there's already dishes in the sink, there's no way they're washing their cup that they use. They're going to put it in the sink with all the other dishes. So it's the same thing. If we feel like we're in a good place, then B'ezrat Hashem, it can help us have energy to just keep going forward and feel that lift, that light, that energy. And so going back to the first pasuk, Ashrei maskil el dal b'yomer ayim oteu Hashem, I was blown away when I was thinking about that pasuk. I never thought about it so deeply. But basically, if you think about the whole inner child healing, so you think I'm just gonna read the translation here. Fortunate is the one who understands and is attentive to the poor. Then when they have a hard time, on a day of hardship, and Yom Hashem will deliver him, Yimoteu Hashem. But suddenly, like when I was thinking about it, on Monday, I was thinking, and this happens in Ibodedut. When you do Ibodedut, something like these like things just hit you. I was like, El Dal, it's not necessarily some being always when you're attentive to someone else. Being attentive is also when I'm feeling poor. If I have a poor part inside of me and I'm not feeling good, Yishrei Maskil El Dal, if I'm not doing well inside, praiseworthy is the one who pays attention to her dullness, to her stuff going on, to her sadness, to her feeling in a low place or a hard place or a low self-esteem place or a low motivation place or a feeling bad about herself place or a feeling stuck place. If I'm attentive to that part of me and say, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? If there's something I can do to help you, tell me about what you're feeling. And I can listen to that inner child of mine, then I'll be able to help her so that when I have a bad day, when things, get stuck, Hashem is going to save me. Hashem will deliver me because I'm doing the work. I'm doing that place. I take responsibility for my healing. Someone said something to me. I was speaking to someone because I'm signing up women for a course now. So in psychotherapy, so someone said to me something that I just loved. Probably should have heard it many years ago. She said, sometimes people use their conscience instead of taking responsibility, which is very powerful because instead of taking responsibility for an action that's negative, you'll just say, oh, I feel so bad I did this. I feel so bad I did this, instead of taking responsibility and just stopping to do it. So I really like that. But then sometimes you just feel stuck and you can't stop doing it. So then you have to figure out what's going on inside of you. And that is where I go back to where I started at the beginning of the class. I said, if we learn about the whys of Ibodedut and why we're doing it, then I think, Bezrat Hashem, it'll help us pay more attention and be more my two favorite words, chizuk and motivation, that, if you don't, they're both words that are very important. Inspiration, motivation, chizuk, they're all words that are very, very important. The truth is that it's consistency. Consistency is the key. You might look for places to get motivated, but you really have to just try to be as consistent as you can in order to Bezrat Hashem to get into it and really make it a part of your life. And like we say, that I don't like the word, the root of the word prayer is really is asking. And I think that tefillah is it's a word I connect to much more because tefillah is connection. But in the end, I need tefillati. I am a prayer. We want to become prayers. We want to be in that place where we are prayers. We wake up in the morning and who are you? I'm a prayer. I'm someone who davens. I'm a davener. I'm someone who's connected to Sarah Rivka Rachel and Leah, to Abraham Yitzchak and Yaakov. We're connected to the fathers, the davot, the daven, the connecting to the fathers. We're daveners. And that's our job, B'ezrat Hashem, and that's what we're here for. And I was looking for a quote, a source sheet from Bilvavi before the class, Bilvavi Mishkan Avner, which was that first book that Rabbi Weinberger started the Hitbodedut share from. And I couldn't find it, but I actually happened to just stumble by accident. I'll send it to the group on a file. It's like a 20-page file. I totally forgot about it. That Bilvavi Mishkan Avner has on breath work, which I read it a couple of years ago and I remember I really liked it. But then recently I've been learning a lot more about breath work just because it's the in thing and in many places people are doing breath work. And I get a little bit frustrated because most of the people who, even though they're very, very from incredible women who are teaching breath work, the sources where they're learning it and all this reversing retreats and everything, it's not necessarily coming from Jewish sources. And our sources are full of sources on breathing and neshama, neshima, breathing. Rav Bezinson wrote this incredible book on breathing. So I found Rav Schwartz's book on breath work. So I'll share it with the group. It's just PDF, but a lot of very good things there. And that's also something that I want to get into a little bit later in our Chavura, B'ezrat Hashem. I will put it on the chat. That B'ezrat Hashem. So with if just to start off, people to do just to get into a place, like sometimes people have the ability to wake up in the morning and just right into Hitbodedut. But many of us wake up in the morning and we're busy doing other things, so we have to suddenly stop our day or it's at night, and just to transition into that place of faith, that quiet place with Hashem. I mean, the shares are here. You can always tap in on the group. You can always tap into the end meditation that we do. But just to sometimes not even have to like find the meditation and find the link and everything, but or the tefillahs that I send, sometimes people can use to start off Hitbodedut. but just to sit for a few minutes and just to put your hand on your heart and just think for a few moments, like just to breathe in and breathe out, and just think neshama, our soul, neshima, breathing, just to breathe. It's free. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in Hashem's love, just breathing out any stresses we have. Wherever we are, we can always just tap in and just transition into that place of faith, that safe place with Hashem. We just feel hugged, we feel seen, we feel soothed, we feel safe with Hashem, which is huge these days, to just be able to tap into a place and feel safe. Like sometimes women call me and they say that they have a lot of issues with anxiety, and I know that anxiety is a real problem and it's real. But if we practice every day, like I don't know very many people who have an anxiety attack and then somebody says to them, just breathe, and then they're okay and they calm down. Or even like we all know when, as Hashem, when we have babies, that the more you do the breath work before the delivery, then when you're in labor, the breath work helps. But if a woman just has never done any pre natal classes and then suddenly comes in and the midwife says to her, just breathe, she just wants to shoot her. So the more we practicing the breath work, then when the stress comes up, then we can just go into that place and just and be in that safe place. So I'm going to continue a little bit the end of Rav Schwartz before we get deeper into the book. We did do one sentence last week. So he says that that we're basically trying to remember that the whole concept of tefillah is connecting to Hashem not only as our father but as our friend, and that's what we were discussing till now. King, father, but friend. That David Yonatan relationship, like that best friend relationship. Oh, sorry, I'll just go back about the breathing and the breath work, that it was in this week's parsha that we learned about how Avram Avinu gave Keturah the presents and the gifts, and that's all of the medicine from India, right? And we get all these like breath work and meditation and yoga and all that stuff. And now it is a little bit complicated. You have to be careful what you're learning and who you're learning it from. But basically, it all was sourced out from Avram Avinu because he sent the presents. That's the gifts he sent. And then we know when I was in university, I had a professor who told me that he had learned medicine with someone from a Jew who went to India to learn medicine. And then when he left, the person who taught him gave him like a whole suitcase of like different medicines and oils, and the person said, "Thank you so much. How much do I have to pay you?" He said, "No, it's for free." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because it's all from you." And then what this professor said is like, if you think about it, India, Hodu, is the same as Yehudi. It's the same letters. But what's missing is the Yud. We're missing the Hashem, missing the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's where it's sourced. Abraham sent it with Hashem. And we need to make sure that Hashem is in all our healing. That's very important. Okay, back to our friend. So we talk about Hashem being our Yidi Nefesh, and just he's reminding us here, what's the goal of tefillah? Ma tachlis shel tefillah. Is davening a way to get things that we need, physical things, or is it a way to get spiritual things? So we know it's both. To strengthen our emunah, to remind ourselves that Hashem runs the world. When we have a time of day where we can tap into tefillah, we tap in the morning, at night, in the afternoon. Women have whenever they can, whatever is your minhag to do. But the fact that we have these times to tap in to Hashem is an incredible opportunity. A lot of times to just ground ourselves throughout the day and to keep ourselves stable and sane. I was reading once a book on self-development, and they spoke about how it's a good idea before you go into a room to just stop for a few seconds and just put a vision to what your next task is in the room, and not just flow from place to place to place and place to place in life, and just like being this remark to stop. What am I going to do now? What task am I going to do now? And then to go in. And I was like, oh, well, that's called a mezuzah. Every time we go into a room, we kiss the mezuzah, we stop for a minute, Hashem, and then we go into the next room. So we have that built into us. We just sometimes, because it's just we do it with route. If we stop and connect in that consciousness, then there's that Hashem. we can pay more attention. It'll become more of a part of us. So the Ramchal says in Mislat Yesharim on Zrizut, a person must realize that when he davens, hu omed mamash lifnei habarei barach shemo. We're literally standing before Hashem. That's the Nakuda Harishona of Tefillah. We're standing in Hashem's presence and speaking to him, even though we can't see him. And then the Ramchal said that this is one of the hardest things for us to internalize, because as much as we can work as hard as we can to understand and to imagine the meditations and Tefillah, it's still a concept for us that's hard to understand. All of our awareness comes through the five senses: sight, hearing, touch, through chushim. But when it comes to Hashem, those five senses don't apply. It's like, I think I said it last week, like how you could explain to somebody, what chocolate ice cream tastes like. You could talk about it for 5 hours, but they're not going to be able to taste the taste until they actually put the ice cream in their mouth. So you could read all the books and learn about Hashem and go to shiurim, but until you have that feeling, it's going to be hard to get there. But we're doing the best we can. So the Ramchal says, if we use the sechel, clear, calm thought, and spend time contemplating, then he can engrave this truth deeply in our hearts. And then when I daven, what's the truth is that when I daven, I'm speaking directly to Hashem, and then Hashem is listening. And not only is he listening, but he's engaged in the conversation. Now, the Sfarim of the Ramchal don't prove Hashem's existence. Now, I'm learning Dat Funot now. He says very clearly in Dat Funot. I like in Dat Funot, it's a conversation between the Sechel and the Neshama, and the first Ikarim they understand. The first 13 Ikarim I get. The first 9 is fine. Question that they're asking is on the last 4, because he's not coming to prove Hashem. You have to have a basic emunah in Hashem, but the Ramchal is trying to strengthen our awareness that lifnei Hashem, living with the consciousness that Hashem is right here, right now. He's not giving us information, but he's reminding us to live what we already know, because we believe in Hashem. We want to feel it. We want to feel it in all parts of us. And we want to get to that awareness, the awareness that Hashem is Yidid Nefesh, that he's a friend who wants to hear from us, even when we feel we're not worthy. We feel that, for whatever reason, we feel not worthy. Sometimes we spoke about it before, but for whatever reason, we feel like we're not worthy, then it's hard for us to even imagine that Hashem is listening to us. And we gave the example 2 weeks ago about the ways, that the same way that I can put I'm going to look at the comment actually. Also, that Hashem, to also listen to Hashem after we speak, because he is speaking back, definitely. And that's a big part of my style of Hitbodedut, is thank you so much, Leah. That's a big point of my way of doing Hitbodedut, is to talk to Hashem and then to stop and see what he says back. And that's what I was saying before about feeling seen, is that also even just writing a tefillah to Hashem and reading it to Hashem, and then writing a tefillah back to me from Hashem, and that's the ones I sent to my group, and reading it back to myself, it makes me feel so seen and comforted that I'm heard, and it's real. It's real. That's the way it is. It's real. A lot of times, I'm not into. I never learned very much about writing and what's it called? There's a therapy in writing, narrative therapy, and left-hand writing and right-hand writing. But I do know that when you write, it's very, very, very healing, and then when you write back up tefillah from Hashem to you, it's hyper healing. So the moment we believe that Hashem hears us, that he's a shomei tefillah, that's what Rabbi Weinberger says, that's the geula in our heart. And Rivka Malka, actually, I took Rivka Malka's coaching course, incredible course, and she talks about there's a whole class there on listening. And I remember when she talked about listening, she said her mother used to, when her mother was setting up her daughters on shidduchim, she would always ask about the guy. The first thing she would ask is what kind of listener he is, because it's so important for a woman, it's for all of us to feel heard, and also with our kids, whatever they're going through. Like if we just listen to them, then it's just half the battle for them. It's so important to listen. So when you don't believe Hashem is listening, it's very hard to keep showing up. And it's also hard to speak out for someone. They can say, please, Hashem, help me be that kind of person. Right. That's Hashem Sefatai. Exactly, Leah. Thank you so much. Hashem Sefatai Tiftach. That's what we're saying. We're saying, Hashem, please open my mouth so that I can say the right words. So Ramchal says the Ikar of Tefillah is not to ask for physical things. It's not to ask for spiritual things even. The Ikar of Tefillah is to live a life of being nocheach im Hashem and to feel Hashem's presence and to be noach im haboreh, to live your life together with Hashem. And that's the tachlis of Tefillah. And that to reach a way in which you live every moment in Hashem's presence and you feel Hashem's presence. And that's the beginning of Hitbodedut. When you talk to Hashem throughout the day, not only in Shacharit, Mincha, and Marv, and whatever tefillah that you do, and Tehillim, but it's being in this shutfus. It's being in like a partnership with Hashem. And he said, that's the tzuras chaim of a yid, is to really be that nocheach im Hashem, to feel that presence with Hashem and to know that whatever is going on, I'm not alone. Hashem's with me. And I can tell you about myself, and I've spoken to many people who have sometimes gone through the most difficult things imaginable. And we saw this also with the hostages, that the hostages who returned, that many of them shared that in that place they felt Hashem. And I know that in myself, when I've had my most difficult challenges ever, I felt Hashem's presence so strongly, and many people have said that to me. I was just recently in Nacham Avel, somebody who was one of the worst kinds of shivas, a really bad one, and he said to me, he said, I've never felt more connected to Hashem than at his family member's levaya. And I said, and he's like, you're gonna think I'm crazy, and I said, no, I totally feel what you're saying, and that's why the Shulchan Aruch starts off with the words Shiviti Hashem Nagi Tamid, that's the foundation of everything, is to be connected to Hashem all the time and to see Hashem, see that Yod Kei Vav Kei before your eyes. Even sometimes like when I'm running and I just like close my eyes and then just run and just open my eyes again after a second and just see that Yod Kei Vav Kei, see Hashem pulling me up that hill. That's a good running hack when you have to go up a hill. Just imagine Hashem pulling you up the hill. And that's the tachlis of tefillah, and that's the doorway into Hitbodedut. It's the path of living a life hand in hand with Hashem, being in that yedid nefesh relationship with Hashem. And I will put this week, Bli Neder, I'm for sure gonna Bli Neder, put very hard feeling that I'm going to worthy. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's the work. That's exactly that. If I feel like I don't feel like I'm worthy, that's exactly how I start off my session. Hashem, I'm coming to speak to you. I'm here, and I don't feel like I'm worthy. Right. I'm here, and I don't feel like I'm worthy. Don't feel like I'm worthy. That's the start. And then sit for a moment and hear what Hashem has to say to you. And he'll probably say to you, I love you so much. And I'm so happy that you showed up. Because he just wants to hear us. He wants to give us a kiss on our lips. Say thank you so much for showing up. We usually end with a meditation. And I want to end with a meditation. But I want to tell a story also, just kind of let into it. If we go 5 minutes over, I'll go 5 minutes over. So this is a story that I've told over so many times, and this is a story that actually brought me to, I might have told it, I don't know if I did in this class, but I told it, this is the story that actually brought me to the Rebbetzin Carmel to speak to her, because I told my friend the story, and that's how she connected me to the Rebbetzin, the author of the book, Eshbachov and Atzachira, B'ezrat Hashem, next week we'll start. But Rabbi Weinberger told a story about one of his students who was so excited. He had like the best Hitbodedut session. He took a day off of work. He drove 2 hours out of the city, and he went to like, I don't know in New York very well, but like I guess it was like a very country type place. And he was sitting. He had the best session. It was amazing. He was so happy that finally he chapped that he knows what Hitbodedut is. He felt that connection. He felt that nocheach. He felt that presence. He felt close to Hashem. He came back, and he's like, sure that the next day, when it's morning and he opens up the Kutei Tefillah and he starts doing Hitbodedut, that he's going to have the best session because he already tasted that Yain Hungary. He tasted that Hungarian wine. And that's it. He's for sure going to be there. And he woke up the next morning and nothing. He couldn't open his mouth. He couldn't connect. He couldn't, nothing. He was shocked. Well, next day, same thing, nothing, dry. Same thing, next day, nothing, dry. He couldn't do it. After 2 weeks, he said, what am I going to do? Took the day off of work, took the car, drove back to the same place where he was, gave himself that time, and he's telling Rabbi Weinberger the story, and Rabbi Weinberger says, and nothing. I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't talk to Hashem. I couldn't get anywhere near that feeling. I totally wasn't there. So Rabbi Weinberger said to him, and? So he said, Ishtadalti, I tried. And that's godless. Because even if we don't get there, and even if we don't have that inspiration, and if we don't have that incredible high, and even if I come and say to Hashem, it's hard for me to speak to you, and I can't speak to you, and I'm feeling very, very down, I don't see the good of myself, and that Elokai Neshama Shatatabi, I said in the morning like a robot, I said it last month like a robot, I don't remember if I said it, I'm totally disconnected. And so Havia said that if you say that to Hashem, then Hashem is going to say to you, my tired kid, my maidel, I'm so happy you came, he kiss on your cheeks. But that doesn't happen, and you don't feel that, and you still feel dry, and you still feel disconnected, and you still feel bad about yourself. Ishtadalti. I tried. That's what we can do. I tried. We tried, and we tried. And the Fum Tzara Agra, and Hashem sees our effort, and every time we try, and every time we ask Hashem to help us, and every little step that we take is what brings us towards the Geula, and it brings everyone else towards the Geula, because that's what Michal teaches us. When we do our little hishtadlut, our big hishtadlut, we affect the world. We affect the olam. We bring Hashem's presence into the world. It brings Hashem nochachut into the world. Other people. My husband works in a yeshiva for Gerim. He has the craziest stories of converts who call up from the middle of nowhere, suddenly see Hashem, suddenly connect, suddenly decide they want to become Jewish, suddenly do a 360 Avram Avinu. How does that happen? Because when I show up for Hitbodedut and I'm unmotivated and I feel bad about myself and I feel like I can't do it and I feel like it's too hard for me and I'm too busy and how can I talk to Hashem after I did whatever, and I still show up, that elevates Hashem revelation in the world. And then that guy in Texas suddenly wakes up and says, hey, there's Hashem. Or forget the Ger stories, it's even harder, the Baal Tshuva stories. People who are totally disconnected and suddenly remember who they are, remember their neshama, and they come back. So you have to remember, we do our shadut, and Hashem does the rest. We're not measured by our totzaot. We're not measured by the results. We're measured by our ishtadlut, and we do our best to try. And now, with Hashem, we're going to go into a short-ish meditation. And I'm sorry I'm going a bit over time. I think we'll be okay. And I don't like playing with music. That's why I don't add music to the meditations. But B'ezrat Hashem, in the future, we'll get to it. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming. Believe. I see Leah Cohen. I don't know why I missed you out. But B'ezrat Hashem, we'll do a little for bring and try to put everything together so that we can share. I think if a few of us put things together, then we might remember the whole what there is, because there was a lot. Okay, so let's take a deep breath in and just try to ask Hashem. Try to ask Hashem. Hashem, please help me bring what I connected to my heart. So Hashem, Hashem, please help me live the Torah I learn. Please help the Torah I learn become part of me. Please help the Torah I learn become part of me. I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and release. And just allow yourself to be nocheach, to be present, and to let the noise melt away. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, Avir, or Hashem. Breathe out. Feel our hearts begin to open, to soften, even just a little bit. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And let a sense of quiet begin to wash over you, like warm water moving slowly down your shoulders, your arms, your whole body releasing into presence. I invite you to feel your chair holding you, the ground supporting you, and just feel like you don't have anything to do right now. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to impress Hashem. You just get to be his beloved daughter, sitting with him. I invite you to bring your awareness to the center of your heart. Feel the pulse, the tightness, the softness, the longing, the sweetness. Whatever you feel belongs. Whatever is there is welcomed by Hashem. And imagine your heart gently opening, the way a flower opens with the morning light. It's naturally opening. And whisper inside in the quietest voice, Hashem, I'm here. Just me, just you. I want to feel your nearness. I want to feel your closeness. I want to feel you nocheach. I want to feel your presence. I want to feel seen. I want to feel safe. I want to feel soothed. Just let those words settle like warmth in your chest. Go deeper into the layers inside. Breathe into that place, that safe place, the place of faith. Every breath is a tefillah. Every breath is saying, Hashem, I want you. I want to be able to be consistent in Hitbodedut. I want to be able to show up every day and talk to you and build a relationship and build Yedid Nefesh. I want you. I need you, Hashem. Please stay close to me. Imagine Hashem's warmth, not distant, not hidden, right here, present, warm, loving, leaning toward you with infinite gentleness. A deep breath in and release. Feel Hashem's attention on you. Feel how He is completely with you, as if you are the only soul in the entire world right now. Hashem, you created me. You made me holy. You created my tears. You made them holy. You made them keys that open Sha'arei Shamayim. My words are keys My tears are keys. Let even my hidden tears rise high to you, Hashem. If you have tears, let them fall without holding them back. If you don't, let the emotion beneath breathe. Both are tefillah, both are precious. Both reach Hashem. Take another slow breath and feel your heart open just a little bit more. And imagine a soft light glowing inside of you. Begins a tiny flame deep in your heart. A flicker of longing, a flicker of devotion, a flicker of connection. And with each breath, it grows warmer, brighter, gentler. This is your neshama. This is your yearning. This is your tefillah. Feel that flame sending rays of light toward Shamayim, like silent streams of longing, trying to reach higher and higher, without effort, without force, without fear. Hashem, let me feel. I want to feel you. I want to feel your love. I want to feel you with me. You can call in our holy mouths. Imagine Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Hannah, their eyes soft, Esther, Malka, Ruth, their hearts open, their whispers surrounding you. Feel their strength, their softness, Miriam and Neviah. Feel how their tears open the gates of Shamayim for our entire people. Rachel, 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 Rachel. See your tears joining theirs. Feel your whispers connecting to them, to their tefillah. You're not alone. We're standing in a river of our imah's tefillahs, stretching back thousands of years. Esther, Esther Amalka, Rachel Imenu, Chana, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Chava. Feel all our imah with us, all the holy mothers. Tefillat Nashim has so much koach, has so much power. I invite you to place your hand over your heart. Just hold our heart with love, as if you're holding a small little bird, warm, tender, alive. Hashem, please hold my heart. Heal it. Open it. Feel your heart glowing and shining, and that Hashem is leaning in closer. He hears your words. He hears the spaces between them. He hears what you're saying. He hears what you're not saying. Hashem, let my tefillah open Sharei Shamayim. Let our tefillah together, holy women who are here now, we're going to listen to this later. Let it open the hearts of Am Yisrael. Connect the hearts of Am Yisrael. Achdu, all together. Connection, all of Am Yisrael throughout the whole world. Imagine all our tefillahs together. The tefillahs we have now, the tefillahs we will say, rising up like a thread of light, or traveling to Shamayim through the gates, through Sharei Shamayim, just opening gate after gate. Koach Nashim, the power of women. See the gates opening, Geula opening one by one. Feel Hashem saying, I'm here with you. Thank you. Hashem, please stay with me. Stay inside of me. I want to feel you. We want to feel you. We need to feel you, Hashem. Very soon we're going to open our eyes. We want this feeling, this connection to Hashem, to stay with us now and to be with us. Take a moment to shine our tefillah, shine this light, tefillah of us together. Shine it to our children, our families, our spouses, our neighbors. This connection, shine it. This thread of tefillah is going up to Shari Shamayim. Connection. Feel connected. Send this light to our city, to our soldiers, to our wounded, to our sick, the people we know who are going through such challenges. And just send them Hashem's love and light and connection throughout the whole Olam, the whole world. To feel Hashem's revelation. A little bit more connection, a little bit more sparks. Take a deep breath in. When you're ready, and open your eyes. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for doing this work together. Bezrat Hashem, Geula. I see us very soon dancing together with our tambourines. Our tambourines, you can't see it, tambourines going up to the base of Mikdash. Bezrat Hashem. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of the day, evening, and we'll see you, Bezrat Hashem, next week.